Hi, welcome to part two, finally, of the All Glammed Up album. And I have to tell you, thank you so much for being patient. I know last week when I did the tutorial, man, I really did mess up the measurements. And I know that I wasn't the only one having that kind of a week. I guess a couple of my design team members were going through the same thing. So I really think it was in the atmosphere. That's all there is to it. So I hope you did get this part figured out. And if you didn't, then after things calm down, I'll do another video maybe, and it'll be a lot less hectic. So now to get started on this, I went ahead, and I know I mentioned because mine was a little bit smaller than the 6x6 because I had cut another piece that I needed for in here. I did mount mine in black, so actually I'm going to take that as an opportunity to line this in pearls. Now what we're going to do is make the big flower and these two small flowers, and there's a lot of different ways. You can make these using your, let me move this a little bit, you can make them using your die cuts, or mine for smaller projects. Let me grab my punches. These are my three favorite. So this one is Stamping Up. I believe I got this at Michael's, and I did get these at Michael's. These are actually my really all-time go-to. They're 5 leaves. Anything with a 5 leaf is awesome. You can do a lot with it. Now another thing that I'm going to use is, because I put it in the other shoe, is one of my pins, and we actually did these in a swap, so you may have a bunch made sitting around, and this is the one I chosen. And then I've already punched out my petals. I'm going to sneeze, I'm sorry. And then last year at this time I was busy with weddings. My kids were all getting married, and so I had leaves, and these are the leaves that I used, and I just saved them because we used the roses for the bouquets, and then I had this. So what you want to do is you want to punch out 5. I always punch out 5 of these big ones. You'll only need 1 of the big ones. And then from the smaller, I cut out 5 with the polka dots, and I cut out 5 for the black. And those are what I'm going to put on my shoe. And then another thing, again, you can get these usually in any wedding section, and you get a ton of them, and they're like crazy little things, are these. And I'm going to use these in decorating our album. So I'm going to take a couple out, and I'll just set those aside. Now to get started with these kind of flowers, you can wet them, you can do a lot of things. Now the first one you want to do is turn it over. So this is going to be the side that really shows, but I need to turn it over because we're going to make that rose look. And I'm going to just pinch. I'm going to pinch these edges. Now let me tell you, sometimes it will tear down in here, and that is okay. Now, I lied to you on this. You're going to need 1 of these. That's right. You will need 1 of the big ones for the center. So let me punch another one. Sorry, that one won't work for a rose center. So any 5 leaf, let me show you. Oh, well, it would, but you would want to cut. Well, I guess I can use it and show you. So let's go ahead and just cut this one in, or you can use another 5 leaf that is already pretty well separated. And I think the UPS man's here, so I will be right back. Yes, it was the UPS man. So I'm going to go ahead. Whoops, no. So this is the side that will show on the other flowers, but I don't want it. So I'm going to do it opposite. I want a little bit different look in the center. So what we're going to do is bring that together to make it into a bud. It seems like this might be hard to see today. For some reason I can't get my, there we go, camera down low enough. Now generally I use my hot glue gun, but I don't like my hot glue gun right now. and see what's happening. I'm going to go ahead and give it a try. What I do, there's a couple of different ways, and you'll see different tutorials. Some will say to bring these up and connect them together. Well, that's it's pretty small. What I do is I fold mine all up and then just kind of holding them. Okay, and I'm going to show you another way. If you're having trouble with doing this kind of a center, then I'm going to hold that. Now, as you're holding it, they will start coming apart, which is okay. That just means that's the area you need to secure. So then I just keep working it around. It takes about 3 or 4 shots with the glue. Okay, once you get it there, kind of squeeze it out. Now, showing you this is like a quick way to do it, especially if you've never done them before, and then see how you have the 5 points down here. Now we'll move this. Now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to pinch all of these together. Maybe I do like that side better. See, I am terrible some days. Okay, I do like that side better. So I am going to go ahead and continue and explain. So you're going to pinch up. If I'm pinching up this side, it actually means this is the side that will show. So if I want this side to be the one to show, I'm going to pinch the opposite side because you want that crease right there. Hope that made sense and I didn't just confuse everybody, because I'm good at that. Okay, and I do put my thumb there because I don't want to go down too far and tear my petal. Move the little guy over there. Now, one other thing you're going to need is a piece of foam. It can be something maybe the children have. It can be something you've bought. I'll show you. I do have a couple of different things. When we did get an iPad one year, I'll get it out here, it had this piece of foam in it that looks like this. Very well loved. And then you can also buy the foam mats. The McGill, mine's very well loved, as you can see. And I did get mine at Hobby Lobby, so I used my coupon. Or just that craft foam will work too. So you don't have to spend a bundle. But you do need something of a rounded tool. And you may already have one of these. I like these because there are so many different sizes. Now, if you don't have these, let me show you. Good old standard rounded tip pen will work. So don't feel like you can't make the flowers if you don't have all these other fancy tools. You just are going to have to be a little bit more careful. But if you have the ball, now we're just going to go ahead. See, it just goes by quicker. So we're going to do this to all 4 of the remaining petals. And you can do them up as much as you want. Just to kind of give them that center. Now, if you're having a little trouble with your paper, I usually have my squirt bottle. You can spritz them with water, but if you spritz them, be very gentle. It will help break those fibers up even more. But I'll show you. We're going to do some more bending. And for this, I do like my glue gun. You can use actually whatever adhesive, wet or glue gun that you have, and then make sure you do off-center the petals from each other. And then as I put it down, I'm just going to push it in. Glue. Kind of stagger those petals. Times they'll move. Got to be quick. And then the last petal, it's turned. Now for this one, I'm going to go ahead and just glue it. And you'll probably have to turn this one a little bit. Now I'd like to take the smallest one, and sometimes I'll just push it through there and hold it till it sets. Now I'd like to go along and bring all my petals in. Now you can continue to glue them together if you want more of a closed petal look, or you can just work them with your fingers. Ow, the thing's hot. Better move it. Now, if you're not going to make your own flowers, you can also use your store-bought flowers, but I personally like to make them like 95% of the time. I like them to match. I'm just grabbing the other book. You know what? Thinking I used the smaller. I did. I'm just looking for the smaller one. This one. So I'm going to make another one with you. I am so sorry. So this is a McGill, again from Hobby Lobby. That's okay. Everybody needs to learn how to make flowers, right? So I'm just going to change the color scheme up here a little bit. Maybe I'm not, because I don't think I like it. So let me get this one. Just cut this off. So this happens when you're crafting and you leave when I leave a craft and then I come back to it. I'm like, I forgot a few things that I had done. So I got 3. Let me get a couple more out of this, I hope. Let's turn it over so I can get, hoping to get 5. Oh, I will. Yay. Okay, let's try this again, shall we? Okay, now I see the problem that I was having. All right, let's go ahead and let me move this camera. It's just there. Okay, what I did is with the McGill, this one, I'm going to go ahead, because we're still going to push these down. So backwards from what it's really going to look like, I'm going to go ahead and do these 4 again. And I don't usually break the tutorials up like this, but as you know, we just had an extremely crazy month, and I didn't get back to the tutorial. I didn't get it done. We had pre-orders come in, so you've been very patient. Thank you. Now, there we go. Now we're getting better. Fuller look here. Okay, same way. I'm going to bend them all up to make my center here. And on this one, I do like this petal better. That's right, because I can go up the middle. And when I close it and hold it for a minute, it's going to get both sides. And it doesn't take as much glue. Now on this one, put it more on the inside. Just hold it. It'll be a little hot. But that should be actually enough to hold in your little center rosebud. Then you just squish them open. And then go around and just touch up if you find little spots you need to close. Okay, now we can get back to this. Now things are coming together better. Thank you. Okay, but if you're using a different punch, you want to just make sure. So this flower is a 2 1/8 inch flower. The other one is too large, but that's okay. I can use it on the cover or somewhere else. So you don't want to go any bigger than 2 1/8, but you can go smaller. I mean, you can go smaller, but no bigger. And the same thing. Then as the glue is setting. Okay, so in my last couple of videos, I had a different glue gun. It was the cordless. The newer one from the glue company, Elmer's. Loved it, but then, you know, I started having problems. The darn prongs were breaking off, and I haven't had it for very long. So I went back to my corded one, and I forget it gets super hot sometimes. All right, I'm going to add a little more glue there. Again, I'll just start squishing my petals up. Okay, I thought this week was over. No, really, Monday I was just in a brain fog when I did the other one. I just really could not figure out those measurements. It's a good thing I'm not working in the hospitals anymore and having to figure out measurements and medication charts. Wouldn't that just be awful on those days? But I do believe it was in the air. My design team member Brenda was so flustered. She had to take her whole album apart. She's like, it's got to be in the air. Okay, now we're just going to move your petals. Kind of get the look you want. I don't like how that looked, so I just ripped it off. Okay, now our smaller ones. Oh, and you can ink your edges too if you like. So the next one was, put these down here so you can see it better. We've got the polka dot. That one went in the back. That's just a different one. Let me see something, because I think 1, 2, this one had 4 petals and this one has 3. So the black one is going to have 4 petals, and then this one 3. Now this one's really, really quick. Now you're going to pinch in. Just pinch your petals inward, and again, I just kind of hold my thumb there, or however you're most comfortable. And then for your centers, I've just got some little blingy dots, diamondy look. You can use pearls, anything you like. Okay, same thing again. My books, we don't have it. We're going to start by staggering our petals and gluing them. Now when you make these little guys, especially on the covers, I'll do 5 and 6 petals, because it really gives it fullness. Ow, that thing is hot. Okay, for my center, I did bring out some, I thought I had brought out some blingy dots. let me just cut one off. Now on the dots, I mean these little things, just be careful. And don't burn yourself like I usually do. I don't trust the adhesive on the back of them. And you can add 2 and 3 of them. You can actually add as many as you like. Okay. Now we're going to do the same thing with these red ones. Let's just go ahead and bend these up. And if you are wanting to make more flowers, there's tons of videos out there. I do have a couple more on my YouTube. I'm making a bunch of different flowers I made a year ago with tissue and wetting them down and scrunching them. They're really fun to make. Okay, grab another. Oh, I knew I had grabbed them. Okay. Really doesn't want to stick anywhere but to me. Now, your edges. If you want, then you just take your ink or whatever you're using. And let me see something. No, I didn't spray those. I think I was spraying the cover ones with the silver Little Bunny Sparkle Spray. We'll do that too when we do the cover. Okay. So I'm going to put the big one on first. Oh, let's go ahead and just... And what I'm doing then is I'm just basically covering where that flower on the shoe was. And then I'm just going to sneak out and burn my finger, as usual. My flower down in there. And let's bring the other one up here so it just cascades. Me and that hot glue gun. So now my leaves. And you might even have a bunch of these in your craft drawer or anywhere hiding. I just cut them away from here and from each other because they're just going to be hidden inside there. Now what I do, I just take my glue along the spine of the leaf, lift this up, and then shove it down in there. Take this one apart. And get the bigger leaf. I did put one over here. I don't know, I think that one's just too big. Yeah, like that better. So you just want to place, place them randomly. What looks good to your eye. Put them underneath the petals. And I'm not going to use the big one, so grab a couple more small ones. You can also punch these out of paper. One more. And then I'm going to take my stick pin let that dry for a second. And I'm just going to see where I like it, if I like it. And then I'm going to take my hot glue. You can use your hot glue gun, glossy accents, just get it around there. And then poke it down in where I want it to go. And that's how I do it to get it to stay. Now these little guys, what I did on the other one, now I put them in here. Let me show you. I just bent them in half. You can twist them, and I'll be honest with you, I was going to go ahead and put these in, but with that glue gun, I'm not doing it on camera because you're going to hear some words. I need to do it off camera and with some glossy accents, but it'll take a while to dry. So what you want to do is just place them in there till you like them, or you can even cut them and put them under the leaves, you know, anywhere to hide them until you get the look that you like. So I will go back and put these on, but not with this glue gun. It's just too hot. Now, I need to check because that's a different stick pin. Oh yeah, plenty of room in there. So, put that flower aside. Now the rest of it on the inside, all you'll need to do is, let me trade albums, is go through it. And I won't do that on camera because it's very monotonous. All you're doing is matting. So measure your squares, and then you're going to mat. Now for this last one, okay, I did the dress, and that is one of the 6x6 pieces if you have this paper pad. And then we're going to make those. And then let me show you. Then this was again one of the cut aparts. So it's all right there for you. Now let's go ahead and make, I told you on mine I'm going to do 2 pockets, and I'm going to do 2 flaps. That way you can see both of them being done. So I'm going to put this one aside, and I'm going to go ahead and do the 2 flaps first. Now on my little flap, on the flaps, I'm going to use small magnets to hold them closed, and you really wouldn't have to because the weight is going to hold it down. But as you know, there were so much problems with my measuring. So I'm going to measure 5, and I want my flap to be 2.5. So I'm going to cut 2 5-inch by 3-inch pieces. Let me cut one more. And for my flaps, so let me move the book. So I've got my 2 5-inch by 3-inch pieces. And I'm just going to lay it on my scoreboard and score it 1/2 inch. I think I got glossy accents on that last time. And I'm going to round my corners with my chomper here. Sorry, I am just shooting a text up to my husband. Sorry, just saying recording because I just heard him walk in the door. Okay. So I'm going to use the 1/2 inch side. And you can use any corner rounder or none at all. Now, even when you do your pockets, okay, the pockets are the exact same thing. So let's look at that really quick. So for your pockets, what you're going to do after you mount this piece of paper, you're going to put your pocket on top. And what I do is I take my 1/4 inch score tape just on each side, and of course on the back side. And then New Lady 1949 has always done, and I love her videos. Hi Patty. And I just take my glossy accents along the edge, and that way it seals it so your tags won't get stuck on your score tape. Isn't that a neat trick that she taught us? So let's go ahead and fold these over. Now, the purpose of these little flaps is kind of fun because if you're doing this for a bride or, oh, lints everywhere, or, you know, just a prom or some girly thing, then underneath can be her journaling spot. So I'm going to put the flaps on my 2 outboard pages because I'm having to work at an angle here on camera. Tape hanging over. Oh, let's go ahead and miter those edges because it is a flap. And so see, you'll have your little flap and then a small basic gray magnet. And just to keep you posted, I did buy 2 complete pallets of basic gray magnets, so they are in the store, and I will have quite a lot of them for a while. Okay, so now we'll have a flap. Now that was a good example as to why I put the tape over the top of my magnet. So we'll have a flap there. I'm just going to cut my corners over the garbage can. Still have glossy accents on my fingers from earlier, and it will not come off. Okay, well, sorry, I just think it's because I have the residue of glossy accents that I cannot get off my finger, and so now usually see I pull off to the side, tape one of the magnets or both of them if they're large ones. So now you have your flaps on both sides, and you're going to cut the same thing. So mine measured 5, so yours should measure 5, and you're going to cut it by 3 or 2.5 if you want it to match perfectly here, because we took that 1/2 inch off. And so you want to mat your page first, which I'm not going to do because it's not cut. So mat your page and then put these down the exact same way, but you're going to have the glue, tape, whatever adhesive just on these sides so you can slide a pocket in. So there is your pockets, which are really fun to have down there at the bottom. And then let's come over here. Now, one thing I mentioned in the other video, you don't want to put a magnet on here till you're done completely matting your pages. So if you it's going to take up some slack, but because I already know about how much slack and I want to do this first page with you. Oh, one other thing I want to do. Let's go back to here. Sorry. So if you have the room, I'll give you an idea of what I'm doing and how I do it. So I take my beads, even though these ones come already sticky, I don't trust them. So I just take a nice line of my glossy accents and then I'm going to just go over the edge here. Now when I work with these, diaper wipes are great because you'll need them. So that's what I do. So I take my pearls. They are sticky. I'm going to go ahead and just measure it, break those apart. And these are my favorite. And believe it or not, I've mentioned it in other videos. You can get them at Walmart. They are made by Jolie, so they are also made by the Simplicity Sewing Company. And see how it just really adds to that. And I'm going to go all the way around all the edges. So let me go across the top here to and also, even though they are sticky on the back and they might hold, I've been using my wet wipes to clean it up. The glossy accents just guarantees they're not going anywhere. And it gives you that extra room to maneuver your beads if you have to make adjustments. Now, sometimes that sticky part will hang over the edge when I pull them apart. Really like that look. Very girly. I'll admit, not crazy about how my flower turned out. I don't know why. It's just bugging me, but and I wasn't a fan of glossy accents, only because I was so messy with it, but now let me tell you, it's great for everything. Now up here where I have a spot there that will probably bug me forever, but I will either take, I have these little tiny flowers, so I might take another flower, I might make another small one, and most people probably wouldn't even notice it and wouldn't bother them. But me, it does. Now, when it comes to your waterfall pages to the right, I'll go over the inside of mine, but you just basically mat your pages because remember, there is not enough room for a lot of embellishments. You can see that glossy accents if you just take your wet wipe. It doesn't hurt your paper and it cleans up that mess. So let me see. No, I'm going to have to take a whole roll. And this doesn't really take a lot of time, as you can see. And it really, really adds. Especially if you have a short piece of paper and you need to fill in the space. Okay, so over here, let me grab my other book to show you. So what I did is I just went through and matted all my pages, then I went back and I cut 3/8" strips by 5 7/8, and I filled in here and I filled in there. So these were in your packet of paper. Those are those little 6 by 6 squares. And so that's all I did was mat these pages like that. So let me get mine. And I'm going to just mat because I can pretty much guess where my magnet needs to go because I've made a ton of these. So let me get my large basic grays. And I'm really glad these have the better adhesive on them, but now they're harder than anything to get out of the package. Okay, so doesn't really matter on here where you put this. You just want to go about an inch or so from the, I mean, half of an inch at least, so your paper will be covered. And when I put this down, when I want to just gauge something because I don't know the width, I usually just like put a finger or so underneath there to help take up that slack. You can even use a pair of scissors, just something that will signify bulk from paper being added. So I'm going to go ahead and add mine. Now I've got enough there that I know that when my pages grow, so I'm going to have plenty of room. So when we cut our waterfall, we did the 6 by 6, and the piece that I used was the piano. And I know it's here. Right here. And actually, but it was, when I did it, it was the piece that was in the 6 by 6 squares. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this bigger one. And you're going to put that right on top of your magnet. I'm just going along the edge here. I don't like to put the black too close to my white paper. Sometimes it flakes off, which it did. So, 1/4 inch square tape. Here it is. I am going to put a piece over that magnet for extra strength. Okay, and when decorating these, the pages do like to move a little bit. Awesome. Now, on here, there was a flower, and it was one of the smaller flowers. And yep, I went with a red. So I'm going to go ahead and use this one. And for this, I used 1, 2, 3. I used 4 petals. Put aside, we still have some usage out of it. And then I used bling instead of pearls. I'm on my other one, and I'll bring that up and show you. But because I used pearls, I'm going to go ahead with pearls on this side. So we're just going to pinch those 2 sides together. And we got the hot glue gun. My book. Stagger our petals. Now, the fuller you make your rose or flower, the more room it will take up in your book. So that's one thing to consider when you're doing your own flowers. 2 or 3 petals put together is going to really make a lot of bulk in your book. So this is going to go here, but first, along the keyboard, now if you've used the smaller one from the 6 by 6 cutout, then you're going to have just nice room here for that, the diamond look. But I'm going to use pearls. And then one thing too that I had was a cut apart. So on your cut apart sheets, I must use the other one for flowers, are these really cute little ticket like looking things. So what I did on the other one is I used, which one did I use? Oh, Friendship in Bloom. So I think maybe I'll use It's Your Special Day. And these are so nice to be able to just cut out and have to add on to your projects. See, did I? Oh, and what I did on there though, I just cut. Oh, I went up, there's an inside black line. And I just went around it. Because I didn't want the spiky things. Here comes the cat. And black ink on the edges. And before I put this down, you're going to want to put your bling, the bling across here. So I could use that. I think I'm going to go with the 2 rows of pearls. Now, I'm not going around a perimeter. These should be strong enough without the accents. And like I said, if you're using the 6x6, like on the other one, you don't have to put 2 rows because one row will fit perfect. And you could even go down the keys if you wanted. You could get really creative. Even with your glossy accents, I think it's just a little easier to maneuver. Get off right there. Make sure those guys line up. And there's a little bit of a gap there, but that's okay because we have a flower that's going to be going down to kind of take your eye away from it. And then I put Your Special Day, or you can put whichever one you like. And we'll need a center in the flower. And I'm going to go ahead with, I think I'm just going to use a pearl this time. And then my little center guy, I'm just going to use score tape. And since it's not going anywhere, and you can add in a leaf if you like, or anything else. So that is your left side. And then the right side, of course, you'll need to just go in now and mat your pages. 3/8 of an inch strip here and a 3/8 of an inch strip here. But do that after you're done cutting all your pages, the 5 7/8 by 5 7/8, and then you can use your scraps. So that is, you know, I should have checked that. Whoops, because this is placed different. Okay, I'm going to have to fix that. Let me show you the difference. Whoops. The difference is, see how much smaller the 6x6 is, and I didn't plan on that. So this is what happens when accidents happen. They are fixable. blade. So now you get to see how I'm going to put ribbon down. Don't you just love it? All right, so I'm going to have a ribbon closure. That's okay, I've been wanting to use this. So what I'm going to do to show you, so this is going to go right here where the boo-boo was. And I am just going to put a line of the hot glue. It's because the way this is. Now you're going to have to push it, and you're going to put out, there will be paper on top. And then this is going to go right here. And again, there'll be paper on top. Strings off. Well, that's kind of good that happened then, because I'd hate to have had everything matted and realized my silly mistake. Okay, then after I mat, so if you want ribbon, there you go. Of course, I won't cut it till I mat mine. So it will have a ribbon closure. Now, if you're using the small piano, you're going to be good where that magnet is. So, sorry, I hit the keyboard with the book. Okay, so that is all of that except for right here. This needs to be matted. And again, that is, you know, basically you're going to want to use your scraps. So it's going to be something I do last also. Just measure your 3 inches, and when you put it down, make sure you take your finger around the edges so that your magnets are underneath your decorator paper. So when it closes, there we will have our cover to work on. So I'm going to go ahead and get what I want for my cover out on this album. And for this one, I really like the dress. So I want that to be some of the focus, and then it's going to continue. So there's enough for this paper still, because our cover, bring this down. So our covers are, so we've got the 8.5, it should be 6.5. So I'm going to go ahead and get this cut, and I'm going to cut it 1/8 of an inch shorter and 1/8 of an inch, you know, not quite so long. Just double checking my measurement. Yep. Okay, so there's our dress. Now when we close it, because I want the same to continue, it's a little over 3, so I'm going to cut it exactly at 3. And so you can just take that piece, but I want to make sure that it ends with the border so it looks finished. So I'm going to cut it from this side. Don't cut it from this side. I call that my closed side. And I have to tell you, I was on a Facebook page last night, and I was looking for just how people had done different albums. And this lady named Darlene, she had done an album from one of my tutorials, and it was where I did the corset binding, and instead of putting it on this back, she put it on the front, and I'll tell you what, it's just stunning. So I had thought about putting the corset binding right there, and I just didn't want to, you know, completely steal her idea until I talked to her. It was just gorgeous. So I'm still going to do the corset binding on the back side. I just think that this dress, I mean this album, calls for the corset binding. So you're going to get to see how to do that again. Now this one, I'm not doing like paper ruffles with it. I'll show you what I'm going to do different. Now when I do the outer covers, I do use, or you know, when I'm matting it, I do use a 3/8 of an inch or 1/2 inch score tape. And let's stick one right down that middle. And then because this is just gorgeous, the paper, you know, we don't really have to do a lot to our cover. Whoa, grab it fast. Get right out. Now because it is black, I don't like to use my fingers on the white. Let's go ahead and take these off. Tape. And then I like to just take a couple across the middle. Make sure you don't have any score tape out there. Okay, now where these magnets are, I like to take the flat side of the bone folder. And I have tape down there, but you want to really get them out so that they catch. So there's our front cover, and I'm going to go see what everybody needs for a moment, and I will be right back. So I have to tell you, just a second ago, while I was recording, I have a cat that jumped up here, hit the keyboard, and turned it off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link down to where I did the tutorial on another album to this, because of course I've done it, so I can't redo it. I cannot believe he just did that. Oh, I'm so furious. So on the other album, and I need to readjust this. It'll show you how to do this on my Genevive album. And so he just jumped up and I couldn't even save it. Now what I'm doing is taking a lace after this. And I apologize to have you go back and forth to videos, but the Genevieve shows this. What you're going to do though is cut it just 6.5 inches, the piece that we punch. And I'm so sorry. You must think my house is just a madhouse. So I'm going to take this lace along this edge. And you can use a hot glue. You can use the glossy accents. I usually take my hot glue and I'll start it. And then I'm just going to glue it on the edge. Now on the Genevieve album, I show making the ruffle to go over it. Like I said, I'm going to get the link in here for you for that. I cannot believe this cat just did that. Now I'm just taking my hot glue all the way on the edge. And I'm going to cover it up. Now the punch that I used a punch to make our holes so we could thread through, is the Fiskars. And I show it again in that other video. I am so upset. I'm so sorry. I think this album has given me a hard time. And now my cat. All right, so now I'm just cutting my lace to fit. And then it covers our paper holes there. going to trim this end again. And see how pretty that makes it. Okay, I like to just start that edge before I put any more glue down. And make sure that that's down and good. Okay, let that glue for just a minute. Glue sets, I mean. It's kind of hanging out there. And now we'll have the corset edge. Like I said, there is a video on this. I feel so terrible. He just jumped right on the keyboard and off it went. Okay, what I just did, and I'll show you too on the Genevieve, I just glued my bow part down. So, it'll be identically done. Just make sure you do the ruffles like that I just did versus the ruffles like on Genevieve. Now for the front, like I said, there's not a lot. I think it's just really pretty the way it is, and I'm actually going to do some lace. And the same roses that we made before inside the book, so I'm going to make a couple, but I want them to be small. So I'll make a few small ones down here at the bottom of the dress. Do the same thing that you did inside for your flowers. And then also these pearls, I'm going to go ahead and add on the sash of the dress right there. And then for your back cover, just go ahead and cut you'll cut your plain paper, the 6.5 by the 8.5. So you can choose whichever one. You just put that matting down. And then, like I said, the small flowers that I'll be making to go around the dress. And over here, I think I'm going to do the lace just on both sides. Lace here, and I do put my lace down the same way, and then the lace over here. And when you're doing lace, go ahead and just put your lace down first and then put your flowers, and then up here you can layer some of the cut apart sheets. Me and this cat and I are going to go the rounds. He won't get off my stuff. So this is where you can cut out some of these little tags, and you can put your tags down, the flower at the top. And I feel so bad. So I will get that other video linked in here. I'll get this video up for you. So that is, you know, the main decorating was here. And again, just make these little flowers for your front cover. And don't be shy if you need help with this and the measurements after seeing Genevieve, but it's all the same. Just remember, you have to cut it 6.5 when you do your strips of paper for your hinge. Like I said, I feel terrible, and if you need any help with it, though, just let me know down in the comments. And I've mentioned before, when it comes to, you know, the total decorating of the album, I'm just terrible to do that on screen because I never know what I'm going to come up with until I start really doing it. So when I do get the cover done, I'll go ahead and show you pictures over at Scrapbookers at Country Craft Creations. So if you want to duplicate it exactly, but I know everybody out there is so imaginative. I've seen your work. You're great. So don't hesitate, though, to ask me for help with this spine if you decide to go with the corset spine, and I'll be available. I'll always answer your questions. Thanks for putting up with me. Have a good night.